Hello teachers, it's me. In this part of the video, I want to give you some tips from my own classes, the class I do here, okay, what I do with the kids, right? With lower level students, when you do phonics, the sounds of alphabets, it's very important that you consider the level of the students as always, and it's very good if you are very visual because the little kids like to see things they learn, right? So I advise you that you use a lot of flashcards, especially when you're doing alphabets, ABCs. Please use a lot of flashcards and make sure that before you move to teaching them words, make sure that they get down the alphabets very well and they have to be able to write the alphabets correctly, and they have to know the sounds. It's very important. If they know the sounds, that's what makes them be able to read in the future. So reading depends on knowing the sounds of the alphabets. It's very obvious, right? So consider the levels and be visual, okay? Visual. Use a lot of flashcards. And also, it's very good if you engage or let the students participate when you teach them, okay? One by one. Ask them questions like what alphabet is. You show them, you be visual and ask them what alphabet it is, what sound the alphabet makes, right? So be visual and let them participate a lot. Also, if you're just doing classes and the classes always, they will get bored. They're little kids, so they won't pay attention for a long time. So it's very important that you, for example, if you do like group activities, okay, you put them together, you separate them in groups and you do group activities, okay? If you just do class like proper and regular class for the whole class time, small kids, they get bored really quickly. The upper level books like Unicorn, Odyssey, and Excalibur, usually the books have a story in the beginning of each unit, right? They have a story. So after you let them listen to the story, all right? Actually, before you let them listen to the story, please make sure that they understand the main words, the main vocabularies. That way they will understand the stories better, okay? So you will have, for example, you'll have in the story, if there is the word, let's say bag, all right? The word bag, you pick out few words, main words, right? Bag, for example, train, right? You pick out the words that you think are main or major or very important for the story, and you let them know the meaning of the words in their own language. Also, if you actually explain the meaning of the words in English, that will be good for them to brainstorm, and in the future they will be able to explain or describe a word in English, all right? So after they know the main words, then you move to the story. You let them listen to the story. Usually I do it 3 times. They listen to the story, just listening. And then what do? You, one sentence by sentence, you let them listen and repeat, right? It's very basic, right? Why do you do that? When after you do the listen and repeat, you let them role play the story, okay? How? You put them in groups. For example, if there are 4 people in the story, one group will be four students, right? And each student picks out or chooses a character. So for example, in Unicorn, Odyssey, and Excalibur, there are characters like Willie, Shally, all those characters, right? So one student takes one character and they become that person in the story, right? So they don't have to memorize the whole story, right? They just have to learn their own line in the story. For example, in the story, if Willie says, "Hello, my name is Willie," right? So the student who becomes Willie, this is the only sentence that student has to role play, right? So this is the line for that student, and that student has to get this sentence right. So that way you're teaching them how to introduce themselves, right? So after they practice, they come out in front of the class and they role play. But what is very important here is that during the practice you have to give them limited time. For example, 10 minutes. And you have to be precise. Practice for 10 minutes and then we'll start role playing. Why? If you don't limit the time, they won't focus and they won't focus on the practice and follow time, okay? You will waste time. So after that, let them come in front of the classroom and role play in front of their friends. They like that. In my classroom, they really like that and they enjoy it, okay? And make it fun. Don't make it too serious, okay? Make it fun. When they make a mistake, just make it fun, all right? You tell them the word or you let them do it again, okay? It has to be fun, all right? And another thing to make students be interested in the class is always divide your students in groups, okay? For example, if you have 10 students, divide them into 5, 5. And then you do what I usually do in my classroom is I have teams, team 1 and team 2. Okay? Sorry, just a second. Let me erase this. Team 1 and team 2. Why do I do this? Whenever they participate. For example, I asked a question and from team 1, one student raised their hand and answered the question. So team 1 gets 1 point, right? And you do that again and again. You ask a question, you engage always engage the students. Ask questions, let them answer, right? Of course, after you teach them the main target language, right? And then you give points. Let's say team 1 has 5 points at the end of the class. Team 1 has 5 and team 2 has 3. Team 1 won this today, right? What do? You give them a sticker to team 1, right? For example, don't discourage team 2. So what do? For team 1, you give, let's say, 2 stickers, and for team 2, you give 1. All right? So that they won't be discouraged or sad, all right? Your kids get discouraged easily, right? And games. Now let's talk about games. In my classroom, there is, it depends on the subject and the target language. Games depend on the subject and the target language. For example, vocabulary. For main vocabularies, what games can you do? You can do Pictionary, right? Pictionary. So for the upper level books like Unicorn, Odyssey, and Excalibur, you will have a PPT or a PowerPoint. And if you have a screen, what do? You can display the words, the main vocabularies on your screen, and you call out 2 students from each team. Like I told you, if you divide them into 2 teams, 2 students come out, right? 1 student faces the screen and 1 student faces the students. All right? So the student who is looking at the screen describes or explains the word he or she sees on the screen to her partner or his partner, right? And what does the student who is not looking at the screen do? He or she has to guess the word the partner or the other student is describing or explaining, right? So you can do that. They will love that. But when you do that, again, give them a specific time. For example, 1 minute. How many words can they guess in 1 minute, right? And then that will be a really fun game, right? Fun game. For special classes like the storytelling class, there are the one thing like the other books like Unicorn, Odyssey, and Excalibur. For the storytelling, also you can do, if you're doing it like, for example, 4 times a week or 3 times a week, you do it story by story, right? You cannot do the whole book in one class. So if you do 2 pages, let them role play those 2 pages, only 2 pages, right? And then the next class, when they come the next class, start with a role play, all right? So that they can remember what they learned, right? Their lines, like I said earlier, my name is Willie. If that's in the story, the student who is playing Willie has to remember that, right? Why? That gives them the chance to train their brain or brainstorm on memorizing vocabularies, right? Remembering vocabularies, right? So you can do that with the special classes, right? So you do it story by story, and they role play it story by story for each class by class, and then at the end, when you finish the book, you can do the whole role play at once and see how much they learned, right? How much they learned. So I hope that is helpful, and thank you.